And with hundreds of thousands of unemployed, the number of people on welfare just skyrocketed.
The city was nearly bankrupt, but Mayor Frank Murphy promised no one in Detroit would go hungry. He opened lodges for homeless men, increased the city's relief budget, and licensed 650 unemployed men as apple vendors. But despite hard times and competition from Chevrolet, Ford's assembly lines still made him a profit. His own income in 1930 would be $30 million. As winter approached, he said, "The Depression is a wholesome thing in general. It's a good thing the recovery is prolonged. Otherwise, people wouldn't profit from the illness." He went on to say, "The average working man won't do a day's work if he can get out of it."
I don't think it affected him, really. They read the papers, so I'm sure they knew what was going on. And, but whether they were ever affected by bread lines and that type of thing, I simply don't know. The few times I was here with the grandchildren, there were always elaborate preparations made. I remember, I don't know whether he had it made or whether he bought it, a miniature farm. And there was a thrashing machine and a tractor, and, you know, elaborate. He thought that the boys would have a good time playing with these things.
On an April day in 1931, the 20 millionth Ford rolled off the line, and the company quickly sent it on a coast-to-coast publicity tour. With the caravan were Ford cameramen, shooting this footage for a planned advertising film. But in the small towns they toured in the summer of '31, few people were buying cars. A third of the country's Ford dealers had already gone out of business. People could hardly afford to buy parts for their old cars, let alone buy new ones.
You tried everything imaginable to get by without spending cash. Instead of ordering a box of bolts from Sears Roebuck and Company, you would go out to the old machinery in the yard, take some wrenches and hammers, take these bolts off the machinery so you could reuse them.
The Depression had silently overrun most farm towns long before. Big city papers told of food riots in the Midwest, and now unemployment in Toledo was a staggering 80%. Mass-producing cars, or grain, or refrigerators had become easy. But America's farmers and wage earners could no longer purchase the fruits of their labor.
You could get a slab of bacon wrapped in cellophane for 35 cents. You could get a sack of flour. Most black people made biscuits at that time. A 24-pound sack of flour for 29 cents. But where in the hell you was going to get the 29 cents from?
While living on the farm, we had absolutely no guarantees that times were going to get better. One tended to believe that this was just destiny at work, that there was nothing you could do personally to resolve the question. It was fate, just like bad weather was fate. Maybe life was better in California or in Oregon. But how are you going to get there? How can you leave friends and family and take off by yourself?
This advertising film would never be released, because by the time it was processed, Henry Ford was planning to close his factories. Most of the marchers were laid-off auto workers, many of them first drawn to Detroit years before by the promise of Henry Ford's $5 day. When they reached Ford territory at the Dearborn City line, police ordered them to turn back.
One of the leaders of the march got up and made a statement and said, well, here we are. We've come this far. Should we turn back or should we go forward? In a big, huge crack of let's go forward, you know.
The crowd surged up Miller Road toward the Rouge as police fired volleys of tear gas. Marchers unleashed a hail of scrap metal and frozen mud on retreating police. At Gate 3, firemen slowed the advance with freezing water. Harry Bennett himself charged out of the plant and was knocked senseless by a rock.
My memory is that people start running like crazy. And I didn't know what was happening, but I know of one thing, that the tear gas, I didn't even realize they were shooting.
I saw 3 individuals fall. I saw Joe de Blasio. I saw Coleman Lenny. I saw the one, Curtis Williams, a black guy, get shot.
Police and Ford guards opened fire from inside the Rouge.
He was up on the fence, and he see me. I was on the Miller Road, and he yelled to me, Anna, Anna, they got me.
Within moments, 25 marchers and a New York Times photographer had been shot, many of them in the back. 4 men died instantly.
I came there when the air was full of tear gas, and people were shaking the ice off of their clothes from the water hoses that the fire department had turned on them, and some people were crying. But experiences like that is it really tested people. It brought out some wonderful quality as I think of it. Gee.
The American bargain lay shattered on Miller Road. Within days, Ford's guards stockpiled tear gas and ammunition at the Rouge and fortified Henry Ford's home with machine gun emplacements.